I'm not an expert. I'm not an authority. I'm someone who has been a murderer for almost 20 years.
Was dreaming, thinking, fantasizing murder all day long. I couldn't get it out of my head.
The terrifying case of Edmund Kemper. The case of Edmund Kemper is a chilling tale of a man who carried out a series of gruesome murders in the early 1970s, earning him the nickname the Co-Ed Killer. His life, from a troubled upbringing to a reign of terror, sheds light on the darkest corners of the human psyche and the complexities of criminal psychology. Edmund Emil Kemper III was born on December 18, 1948, in Burbank, California. From an early age, Kemper displayed disturbing behavior that hinted at the darkness that would later consume him. His parents divorced when he was young, and he was raised by his abusive mother, Clarnell Kemper. She reportedly belittled and emotionally abused him, exacerbating his already troubled psyche. Kemper's troubled childhood was a precursor to the horrific crimes he would later commit. It's essential to understand the factors that contributed to his descent into violence, as his upbringing played a significant role in shaping his criminal path. Kemper's first act of violence occurred at the age of 10 when he killed the family cat. This act was a disturbing precursor to his later crimes. His morbid fascination with death and power began to take root in his formative years. In 1964, at the age of 15, Kemper committed his first double murder. He shot and killed his grandparents, Maud and Edmund Kemper Sr. The motive behind this act was rooted in anger and resentment toward his grandparents, particularly his grandmother, whom he felt had belittled him. Kemper was subsequently committed to the Atascadero State Hospital, a psychiatric institution. After 5 years of treatment and evaluation, Kemper was released from Atascadero in 1969. At the time of his release, he was 20 years old and stood at an imposing 6'19". Despite his dark past, he managed to present himself as a reformed and rehabilitated individual. Kemper's newfound freedom gave him the opportunity to escalate his violent tendencies. He moved back in with his mother, Clarnell, who had relocated to Aptos, California. The tensions between mother and son reached new heights, with Kemper's desire for dominance and power intensifying. In 1972, Kemper embarked on a reign of terror that would terrify the Santa Cruz area and beyond. He began picking up female hitchhikers, many of whom were college students, offering them rides to their destinations. This seemingly kind gesture would lead to unspeakable horrors. His victims included Marianne Pesci and Anita Luchessa, both killed in February 1973, and Aiko Ku, who met a tragic end in April of the same year. Cindy Shaw, another young woman, fell victim to Kemper's murderous spree in January 1973. In February 1973, he added Rosalind Thorpe and Alice Liu to his list of victims. The gruesome details of these murders are both shocking and horrifying. Kemper's method typically involved taking his victims to secluded areas where he would incapacitate and ultimately murder them, often through strangulation. Kemper's motives for these brutal killings were deeply rooted in his psychopathic tendencies. His victims were symbols of power and control, and he derived satisfaction from their suffering and eventual deaths. The reign of terror came to an end in April 1973. After murdering his mother, Clarnell Kemper, Kemper drove to Pueblo, Colorado, with the intent to reach his father. However, along the way, he called the Santa Cruz police to confess to the murders. Kemper's confession was chilling in its detail and lack of remorse. He calmly described each of his crimes, providing investigators with a clear account of his actions. This level of candor and detail would be a central component of his trial. Edmund Kemper's trial began in October 1973. He was charged with 8 counts of first-degree murder, including the murders of 6 young women, his grandparents, and his mother. At his trial, Kemper's high level of intelligence and his ability to describe his crimes in gruesome detail shocked those present. He was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. Kemper was initially imprisoned at the California Medical Facility in Vacaville, California, but was later moved to the California State Prison in Soledad, where he remains incarcerated. Edmund Kemper's case has drawn the interest of psychologists, criminologists, and those seeking to understand the mind of a serial killer. His crimes and the factors contributing to them provide insight. Kemper's troubled childhood, marked by an abusive and domineering mother, played a significant role in shaping his violent tendencies. His mother's emotional abuse and belittlement of him exacerbated his deep-seated anger and need for power and control. Kemper's early fascination with death, exemplified by the killing of the family cat, revealed a disturbing aspect of his psyche. This fascination would later manifest in his gruesome murders, where he sought to exert complete dominance over his victims. Kemper's initial incarceration at a psychiatric institution, Atascadero State Hospital, was an attempt at rehabilitation. However, his release, even after years of treatment, allowed him to further develop his psychopathic tendencies. This highlights the challenges and complexities of rehabilitating individuals with severe psychological disorders. Kemper's crimes were driven by a desire for power and control. His victims represented a source of this control, and their suffering gave him satisfaction. His methods of murder, particularly through strangulation, exemplified his need for physical dominance. The case of Edmund Kemper, the co-ed killer, remains one of the most chilling and disturbing in the annals of criminal history. His early life marked by trauma and his descent into violence serve as a cautionary tale. The psychological analysis of his actions underscores the importance of understanding the factors that contribute to the making of a serial killer. The gruesome details of his crimes and his unapologetic confession continue to haunt the public consciousness. Kemper's case is a reminder of the darkest corners of the human psyche and the enduring need to study, understand, and prevent such acts of violence in our society. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the life of the terrifying case of Edmund Kemper. If you found this video informative and intriguing, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on our upcoming explorations.